October heat isn't just weather, it's a state of mind. The air inside the filming pavilion was heavy, thick with the scent of ozone from the lighting rigs and the smell of cheap coffee. Ellie adjusted her wild mass of curls, feeling a few stray strands sticking to the back of her neck. She was reviewing the budget on her tablet when he walked in. Gale moved with the lazy confidence of a man who knew exactly how his muscles worked. He wore a plain gray t-shirt and worn-out jeans. "You, Ellie?" His voice was low, with a slight rasp. "I'm Gale. I was told we're sharing this executive producer chair." Ellie looked up and met his eyes, brown, dark, and surprisingly calm. "That's me," she said, not smiling. "Hi. I hope you're not one of those actors who thinks producing is just putting your name in the credits and drinking smoothies." Gale smirked. A faint crinkle appeared at the corner of his eye. "Oh no, I'm here to count every cent." Although, he gave her a quick sweeping glance. "With this lighting, you look like a noir heroine." "Sarcasm on day one?" Ellie set her tablet aside. "It's not sarcasm, it's a statement of fact." "Let's get down to business, Gale," she prompted. "We're over budget on one of the locations. I need you to convince your agent that you don't need a private trailer." "I don't need a trailer." He stepped closer, invading her personal space just enough for her to catch his scent: leather, tobacco, and pine needles. "I need a motorcycle, a parking spot, and hot coffee. Do we have a deal?" "Deal," she nodded, trying not to notice how his t-shirt tightened across his chest. 2 weeks later, they were sitting on a bar veranda. The air was bone dry, filled with the rhythmic chirping of cicadas. "Listen," Gale said, looking her straight in the eye. "We've been working together for 14 days. You haven't told me a single thing about yourself." "What?" Ellie frowned. "What is it you want to know?" "I'd ask why you sing so damn well in that bar on Saturdays," he said softly. Ellie flinched. "You were there?" "I was. You sang alone. You weren't just singing, you were pouring something out. I caught myself thinking that I wanted to be the shadow on your shoulder." Ellie felt a rush of heat. She licked her lips, and Gale's eyes followed the movement. "Were you following me?" "I just went in for a drink, but what I saw was a woman hiding a real fire behind spreadsheets. It was mesmerizing." She couldn't find the words to answer. One day, after the workday had ended, her car refused to start in the parking lot. Gale happened to be nearby and offered a hand. He was tinkering deep inside the engine, sleeves rolled up, sweat beading on his forehead. Ellie stood by, handing him water. "A hose snapped," he said, straightening up and wiping his oil-stained hands. They settled in the shade of a large boulder. Gale sat very close. Ellie could feel the heat radiating from his body. Her dress had ridden up above her knees, and she noticed his gaze linger on her legs for a moment. "You know," he began, "I wanted to be a chef. My grandmother used to say that food is the only way to touch a soul without undressing a person." "That's beautiful." "I'm going to cook you dinner when we finish the project." Ellie squinted at him. "Is that a proposal?" "It's a statement of intent." He turned his head toward her. "I like the way you think, and I want to find out who you are when you aren't trying to control everything." He covered her hand with his. His skin was rough. He leaned in slowly, his lips brushing the corner of her mouth. Ellie instinctively leaned forward, her fingers sliding over his forearm. When his lips finally met hers, it tasted of salt and longing. His hand moved to her waist, pulling her in so tightly that she could feel every muscle in his body. Another week passed. The tension between them on set became almost palpable. They didn't visit each other's homes. It felt like too serious, too binding a step. Instead, they found moments in the editing room, in empty pavilions, in the car. Friday night, the city was shrouded in a lilac mist. They sat in his car in a parking lot by the coast. The windows were cracked open, letting in the sound of the surf. Gale climbed into the passenger seat beside her, pressing her close against the door. "I can't just look at you across a table anymore." His voice was dangerously low. He began to kiss her neck, slowly trailing down to her collarbone. Ellie arched her back, feeling his fingers confidently undoing the top buttons of her silk blouse. "Gale, someone might see." "To hell with everyone," he said, turning her to face him. His palm slid under the fabric, meeting her skin. Ellie shivered at the sharp contrast, his hot palm and the cool air from the window. She held her breath as his lips found hers again, and his hands rested possessively on her hips, bunching the fabric of her dress. He slowly closed the final distance between them, drawing her into a whirlpool of sensations where the world outside the car ceased to exist. In the cramped cabin, every movement felt like an electric charge, and the fogged-up glass hid them from the outside world, leaving only the rhythmic roar of the ocean and their ragged breathing merging into one.
Afterward, they sat in silence, catching their breath. Gale brushed her hair back, kissing her temple. That was... He paused, searching for the word. Transformative, in a good way, like the pieces finally clicked into place. "Gale," Ellie looked at him seriously. "We finish the project in a week. What happens then? You'll leave for another shoot, and I'll stay here." Gale took her face in his hands. His thumbs gently stroked her cheekbones. "I'm not good at making predictions, Ellie. In this city, everything is a prop. But what's between us? This isn't a script. I don't want to let you go, and I won't." "Are you sure?" Her voice wavered. "I'm a complicated person. I have baggage." "Your baggage will fit in my motorcycle pannier," he smirked. He started the engine. The headlights cut through the darkness of the parking lot, catching bushes and cracks in the asphalt in their beam. "Shall we go?" he asked, his voice sounding like a promise and a challenge all at once. "Where?" Her whisper was barely audible over the rumble of the engine. "Just forward, until the sun comes up." Ellie leaned back in her seat, looking at his profile in the ghostly glow of the dashboard. Every fiber of her being wanted to say yes, to say it and dissolve into this night where only the ocean, the road, and he existed. But her mind, hardened by dozens of contracts and deadlines, worked differently. It didn't see the road. It saw a dead end at the finish of the sunrise. "No," she exhaled, and the word hung in the cramped cabin, heavy and irrefutable. Gale slowly turned his head. In his eyes, usually so calm, there was a flash of confusion, almost a blow. "Explain. If we go now, Gale," she spoke softly but clearly, "it'll just be a beautiful scene from a movie, the final one, before the credits. We'll meet the sunrise on some deserted road, and then you'll drive me back and we'll go our separate ways, so that in a week you'll fly away, and I'll stay. This night will just become a memory. Perfect, but finished." He abruptly cut the engine. Silence collapsed upon them, pressing and heavy. "So what do you want?" he asked, and there was no anger in his voice, only a tired tension. "For us to sit here and invent the impossible? I have a 3-month contract, 3 specific months, not years, not someday. I need to be there, and you need to be here." "I know," Ellie nodded. Her throat felt tight, but she pushed on. "I don't want to invent the impossible. I want to agree on the possible, the smallest, most real thing we have. And what's that? These 3 months." He looked at her as if trying to crack a code. 3 months of separation? That's your real plan? "No, 3 months is the duration of our agreement." She turned her whole body toward him, her eyes gleaming in the half-light, no longer with passion, but with a strange, fragile resolve. "We won't just call each other. We won't build illusions. We give ourselves these 3 months as a test, to live apart, to understand if what's between us wasn't just a spark from a short circuit in a film crew." "You're suggesting we take a pause?" He said the word with a hint of bitterness. "I'm suggesting we honestly part ways and honestly live these 3 months.
No red-eye flights for the weekend, no panic, no grand gestures, only facts. And on the day your contract ends, we both get on whatever transport is at hand and go. Not just forward, but to one single point. A prearranged place, a mediocre roadside motel, an airport cafe. It doesn't matter. And there, we look into each other's eyes and give one single answer. Yes or no. Just one word. Gale was silent for so long that Ellie already felt an icy emptiness in her chest. Then he laughed. Short, silent, more like an exhale. Damn, you're not a producer. You're a director of final scenes, the most unbearable kind. Is it a deal? Her voice trembled. Deal, he nodded. 3 months. 1 day. 1 word. No calls? No calls, she confirmed. Only 1 text a day. Yes or no. Just to remember the question. Hardcore, he muttered. Honest, Ellie replied. He started the car again but didn't move. He just sat there, staring into the beam of the headlights. You know what's the scariest part? Ellie asked, already looking out her side window at the dark ocean. What? That I already know my answer. And it's madness. He didn't reply. He just reached out, took her hand, and squeezed it tight, palm to palm. And they sat there until the very dawn, not running ahead, but simply waiting for it right there. Together, yet already almost apart. A week later, he flew away. She stayed behind. Their world shrank to a single text every 24 hours. A short, faceless yes, day after day. Sometimes it arrived in the middle of her night, sometimes in the middle of his day. It wasn't romantic. It was a ritual, a marker, a check mark on a calendar, separating one lived day from the next. 3 months is a term, exactly long enough to realize that the loudest sound in the world is the absence of one specific voice. Ellie stood in the parking lot, wrapping herself in a light jacket. Exactly 8 o'clock. She was always punctual, even today, especially today. Through the sound of the surf came the steady hum of an engine. He arrived in a car. He stepped out, locked the door, took a few steps, and stopped 5 meters away from her, a distance far enough to speak, but not close enough to touch. He looked as if he'd just stepped off a film set, a bit tired, composed. His gaze was dark, impenetrable. Well then, he said first. His voice was steady, unadorned. Per the contract, 1 word. She nodded. Her throat suddenly went dry. It was all so agonizingly formal. You were the one who suggested it, he reminded her. Your right to make the first move. Yes or no. He paused, looking at her. In his posture, in his stillness, there was a weariness from this whole game. But rules were rules. Ellie breathed in. The air smelled of salt and cold asphalt. She opened her mouth to say the prepared, rehearsed no, to save face, to protect what was left of her pride after 3 months of silence. But the word wouldn't come. It got stuck somewhere in her chest, a heavy, unbearable lump. Instead, a jagged, almost silent breath escaped her, and suddenly her eyes filled with traitorous tears. She jerked her gaze away toward the ocean, clenching her fists in her pockets. Damn it. It was all ruined. She heard his footsteps, slow, heavy on the gravel. He came closer, breaking the agreed-upon distance. He stopped right in front of her, but didn't try to touch her. My turn, he said quietly. She couldn't lift her eyes to him. She stared at his chest, at his dark t-shirt. No, he said clearly. There it was. So that was it. Her breath hitched. It was as if she were in an elevator plummeting into total, silent darkness. She nodded, ready to turn and walk away, but her legs wouldn't obey. No, 1 word isn't enough, he continued, and a slight, tired rasp appeared in his voice. Because yes means it wasn't all for nothing, and no means we both wasted our time and our nerves. Both options are lies. He paused, letting her process that. I can't give one answer, Ellie. I can give you a fact. The fact is this.
In these 3 months, I never once picked up the phone to call you, and I never once spent a day without regretting it. That's not romance, it's a statement. This silence didn't make things easier for me. It made them worse. She finally looked up at him. Tears were streaming down her cheeks, and she didn't even try to brush them away. Me too, she exhaled. She couldn't manage anything else. He nodded, as if this was the only report that mattered. Good. That means the experiment failed. The rule doesn't work. He reached into his jeans pocket and pulled out a folding city map, frayed at the edges. He unfolded it. Several points were marked on it with a highlighter. These are places where you can get a decent cup of coffee at 8 in the morning, he said matter-of-factly. Here, near the studio, here by my garage, here on the waterfront. I've gone and checked them all this past week, since I got back. He held the map out to her. I don't have a forever proposal. I have a proposal for tomorrow. Pick a spot on the map. Show up at 8. If you come, we'll drink coffee and talk about anything. The budget, the weather, stupid dreams. If you don't come, you keep the map as a memory that I tried, not as an actor, but as a man who was tired of the silence. Ellie took the map with trembling fingers. The paper was warm from his pocket. She saw his precise marks, even a note saying bearable next to one of the cafes. And then what? She whispered. And then the day after tomorrow, and the day after that, 1 day at a time. No 3-month contracts, no single words. Just one map that might become unnecessary if you decide you're not going my way. He took a step back, returning to his original position. So, Ellie, your answer? For tomorrow. Only for tomorrow. She looked at the map, at those simple, concrete points in a familiar city. This wasn't a marriage proposal. It was a proposal for a morning. A single, upcoming morning. The most honest proposal she had ever heard. She found a small cross on the map near their old pavilion, the same kiosk. Here, she said, pointing with her finger, at 8. But the coffee is on you, for all 3 months of silence. For the first time all evening, something remotely resembling a smile touched his lips. Fair enough. Deal. He didn't try to hug or kiss her. He simply turned and walked toward his car. Their meeting for today was finished. All the necessary words had been spoken. Ellie remained standing there with the crumpled map in her hands. She felt neither euphoria nor drama. She felt clarity. The very thing she had been searching for all these 3 months. For her, a person used to trusting only facts, such an agreement, concrete, devoid of pathos, actionable, was more precious than any beautiful words. It was a truth you could touch with your fingers. And in it, in this simple agreement for tomorrow, there was suddenly more reliability than in all the loud promises she had ever heard. Tomorrow, at 8 in the morning, they would have coffee. And the day after tomorrow would be a new day, and they would deal with it as it came. It wasn't the most romantic beginning, but it was the most real. If this story meant something to you, you're welcome to subscribe. More moments like this are waiting.